Hi, this is Lori Dee, and I wanted to do a short I Am Your Friend dialogue about who Lori Dee is. Like, who is Lori Dee? Um, Lori Dee is Lorraine Denardis, and that's my real name. And I also have a YouTube account under the name Lorraine Denardis. But this is separate. This is to honor my father, and it's all about the daughter that he raised. So I'm basically uh, doing this to honor him and to be the daughter that he knows and recognizes. Like, who is Lori Dee? So I got out my photo album here. Lori Dee is, I can't see nothing. She is, see if you can point her out. Can you find her? Can you find her? She's that girl. That's me when I was 14 years old. And Lori Dee also might be this one too. That's me when I went to modeling school. That was when I was doing a fashion show. Long time ago I used to be a model. Lori Dee also could be this person. But I was on a movie shoot for that one. It was Never Been Kissed. Yeah, Never Been Kissed. That was shot in Chicago, and I was an extra, and they all did my hair and makeup for it. I wasn't in high school during this time, but if I were like to do Lori Dee's outfit, it actually kind of, or hair, kind of would look kind of like this, like bright colors and everything. See if I got some more pictures for you. Now, Lori Dee isn't who I was in college. I was a bit more serious. But Lori Dee is a woman that dreamed about making movies and producing music, believe it or not. So I used to like write little songs. I used to always dream about being a songwriter, but the talent didn't really kick in until I was about 25 years old. But before then, I always dreamed about it, and I didn't think it would ever happen to me. And then it did happen. I wrote an enormous amount of songs. And how did I perform them? Well, I performed them by going to poetry slams. That's how I performed them. And at the same time, I joined a sketch comedy group. So I was doing them both. And ironic, they actually performed at the same venue, and they were all friends. And they were also friends with the stand-up comedians. In San Antonio, Texas, they were all the same. I went there as a volunteer. This is my high school ID. Yeah, you can see the date there. What year was this? 92, 93. Why did I take different pictures for the ID and picture day? See? No, that's how I was. What I look like in 1992. It's a close-up of that picture. That's Lori Dee. So yes. Lori Dee, who was roped into going to Six Flags every single day and watching the show called Sights and Sounds of the 60s. Lori Dee used to dream about being in it was concert choir. I didn't actually make it in concert choir though. I came to something close. It was just like too by the time it was time for me to get into concert choir, too many people wanted to be in concert choir, and I didn't get into concert choir. But I won a tour for a music studio, and that was fun. One of our graduates at Warren Township High School, she got a scholarship for the, no, she didn't get a scholarship, but she later worked behind the scenes in music. She didn't make it in concert choir either, and that's kind of why Mr. Myron wanted to involve her. Mr. Myron was my choral director at Warren Township High School. And he really wanted to say, but she didn't make it in concert choir, but she's very involved in the music industry. and she does this thing called Grammy in the Schools. So she had recording artists come to our school. I think the group that wrote "I Have a Tiger" performed at our high school. I'm not too sure. And later on, that could be involved in a controversy because they didn't want to be using the Trump campaign. But they did perform at my high school, and one of the raffle tickets was to go see a production movie, go to the actual music production studio. And my goodness, when I won that, I was just so amazed. I was blown away by it, and I thought that like Columbia College Chicago is like this prestigious college that I could never possibly get into, and I didn't even think about it. I didn't even look at the catalog. You know, I just followed my aunt's advice, and I went to UW Stevens Point for my you have like these different types of credits when you go to college, and I got all my foundational credits at UWSP. And I did actually like going to Stevens Point. Maybe I should have stayed and got a communications degree, because it probably would have been more valuable than a film and theater degree, because nobody makes things on films anymore, you know? But I was taking broadcasting classes, communication classes, and I was in the choir there, and I learned a lot about music there as well. I think I was technically a theater minor there too, but I didn't take any theater classes. So I was broadcasting communications major, so took a lot of foundational communication classes like on Plato. Took a lot of my foundational credits there. Football is like a religion there. And then later on in life, when I went to University of Texas, there was another school where football was a religion. But at UWSP, it wasn't actually the college team there. It was the Packers. They were all Packers fans, and it was kind of weird for me, seeing how I'm from Chicago, to be in the middle of the Packer of Cheesehead country, and they were called Cheeseheads. I was in the middle of it all. I was in the middle of the Cheesehead. Right in the middle of it, and Stevens Point wasn't too far from Green Bay, so a lot of the students would go for games. But when they won one time, it was just one of the most amazing experiences. And I even did a package for it, for the news station there, and it was just everybody from all the dorms just came out into the center circle. Packers had won a game. And there was this famous quarterback, I forgot who his name was. I should remember it, I really should. He was, everybody in the country knows who this quarterback is, that played for the Green Bay Packers in, like, 1995. I forgot who his name is. If you remember, comment of who he was. But they won, and some big things happened. And then but I remember them all running out to the center court. One thing I also remember was the obsession with the TV show Friends. My roommate was obsessed with that show. She would have everybody over. I watched the show. I mean, I didn't dislike the show, but I didn't have an obsession with it. But everybody else did. They were obsessed with the TV show Friends. And, like, time stopped on Thursdays at 7 o'clock. Literally, time stopped. Like, you can go outside, and there was literally nobody there. Nobody's even walking around. They were all watching Friends with their friends, quite literally with their friends. Everybody's, like, all bunched up in the dorm rooms, watching Friends with their friends. That was a fond memory. A fond memory of UWSP was probably the dance club. They had this free dance club, and it was really a fun time for me, so I enjoyed going to the dance club. And Stevens Point just had a lot of dance clubs, period. That was my first time going to a dance club. My aunt lived in Stevens Point, so my first time going to a dance club, I think I was 12 years old. They had like a little teeny bopper dance club. And I think I had my first dance at the dance club. Not at a school dance. My cousins fixed my hair for me, taught me how to do this with my hair. That's me when I was a freshman in high school. And that's Lori Dee. So yes, me now and me when I was 14. That's the Lori Dee that my father raised. So yes, that's my freshman picture. I think this is my sophomore picture. Yeah, that's Lori Dee. And by that time, I was growing out my bangs. I didn't really want bangs back then. For the longest time, I just had really long hair, just really down my back. And things were like so different back then because girls were expected to fix their hair up like they were going on a date every single day. You had to do that just like you were going to school. I mean, just regular, like a normal, a ritual, a routine. And if you did not do that, you were brutally made fun of. So you didn't really have a choice. I mean, you didn't have to go all out and do the big wings, you know, with your hair, but you had to put some type of effort into your appearance. You didn't necessarily have, I mean, in fact, depending on how brutal your high school were, you actually had to wear name brand clothes too, in addition to fixing your hair every day, which kind of made a lot of parents bankrupt. But I think it affected boys more than girls. My brother, I literally had to get a job at a golf course, being a caddy, so we can afford to buy $100 jerseys and like $100 Nike shoes. And if he didn't do that, he would get beat up. So it was pretty bad. I mean, they for some reason, everybody back then was so obsessed with appearances. So you had to do something, and but not everybody went all out. And when you actually went out on a date or out with your friends, you would go further with your outfits and your hairstyle. But this is typically how a girl would fix her hair if she's just going to school. I would just curl my bangs and achieve the look through hairspray. Now, luckily, I have thick hair, so I don't have to add any mousse to it. But if you had thin hair or silky hair, you had to add hair products to your hair, because otherwise the heat won't take with the curling iron, and it just doesn't have the right texture. I think this was a perm. A lot of girls had to get their hair permed, and the perm would dry out your hair, so you also had to add the hair product to the hair to make your curls more silky. So they would perm their hair, and then they had to add hair products to the hair to give the hair body, and to kind of get this look that I naturally have. I didn't really have to do that too much because of that. And here I am kind of like growing the bangs out sophomore year, and then junior year I had no bangs. It's more like the exennial look that you're used to. But yes, I had to fix my hair every day to get up. I guess an hour early. It took about an hour. But you know, you kind of got creative with it. It wasn't the same thing every single day. So you had a hairstyle that you normally did. The style, that look was done with a barrette. You put a barrette in the back. And like a date would actually, if you're going out with friends or with a guy, you know. I didn't actually go on too many dates with myself, but I'm trying to find a picture of me going out. I do have one. I'm singing karaoke. This was when I went a volunteer in Texas though, and this is it. I'm looking up at it. The light glare, and I'm there on the right, and I have my hair up, and it is all in curls and everything. Too bad it's not a better picture of that. but that's more of an Xennial look than the X-Gen look. So I'm an in-between generations. Um, I'm on the tail end of the X-Gen generation and the beginning of the Millennial generation. So I'm kind of both. I'm a X-Gen and a Millennial. I'm an Xennial. So I'm kind of in the middle. I've kind of experienced both life experiences. But yes, I grew up on like Lori Dee. Who is Lori Dee? Lori Dee is never plays video games, but she watches her brother play video games. She likes being involved in figuring out the puzzles and the secret codes and everything. I helped my brother figure out the secret code of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, and I think that was one of my proudest moments because I figured it out before the Nintendo Power issue came out. And me doing that made my brother so popular. He was like the most popular kid in the neighborhood because of his sister. When Nintendo came out, it's like we used to get into fights all the time because he's got ADHD, and I have I'm more autistic, so I don't like people invading my space. So he would constantly be annoying me, invading my space, and starting fights with me, and he never would win, but he would be constantly annoying me, and it didn't help that society condoned it. They thought it was normal for little brothers to annoy sisters, and so did my parents actually. So they didn't do anything. They thought that even my dad thought that I should put up with it because that's what good girls do. Here's a picture of my brother here in football, since I'm talking about him. This is his football picture. Right there he is. He got big. Luckily the fight stopped before he got big. Yeah, but no, the fight stopped actually when he was 12. He didn't get his growth spurt till he was like 15. But it was because Nintendo came out. And his sister no longer was like the Nintendo took more of a precedence over his attention span than me. You know, was no longer interested in knowing me. He saw me as a resource because I figure out the codes for him. So then he loved his sister and he respected his sister. So our like relationship totally changed, and it was all because of Nintendo. So yes, and the Lori Dee would produce videos in the middle of the night because that's the only time I had access to the TV. And I don't think times have changed much. I'm just so used to doing them in the middle of the night that I don't know any other way. And I can't say it was even different when I was in college because that's usually when I had time to do stuff. So I'm always producing stuff in the middle of the night. I guess this would be Lori Dee. The girl who was in the Baton Squad. And I produced my first song in this room. This room was in Grandma Park in a town called Gurnee, Illinois. And I was currently attending Woodland Grade School. And I did a song mix by mixing tapes. I think that we make things too complicated when we talk about songs. I mean, as long as it's on digital and the original sound is produced on digital, you don't have a problem. When you recorded on tape and you had to move things from tape to tape, every time you re-recorded something on tape, the quality, the sound quality, and if it was VHS tape, it was greatly reduced. It was like literally destroyed. The sound quality, and it was very hard to make a professional sounding song by recording and re-recording because of the analog nature of tape. But if you have a digital recorder, it doesn't matter. So you don't have to be so picky about the microphone and whatnot. It's actually the the system itself. So I got my kindergarten picture here. Let's put that up. This is my kindergarten picture, I think. Oh, is it? No, my first grade. My first grade pictures. You see me? That's Lori Dee. That's Johnny Dee's daughter. Who is me? Of course it is. But now I keep saying that this is different than my other YouTube page. Well, my other YouTube page is, I was heavily into activism when I lived in Austin, Texas, and I was a libertarian. So there's a lot of libertarian things on there, and most of my subscribers, for the most part, are libertarians. I don't want to like bombard them with all this Lori Dee stuff, me singing karaoke, doing videos in the middle of the night. I mean, they didn't sign up for that. So, but I was going through, and I did there was like a Lori Dee type video on the Lorraine Denardis YouTube page, and one of the guys who commented, who came for the libertarian videos, was like, "Oh, we're all kind of dorks, you know, us in the libertarian movement." So I was like, I'm so glad I came across this video. I was singing a Christmas song. So, and I'll finish it off. This is Lori Dee. That's a family picture of me with my grandmother, who I discovered was Jewish. I didn't know. I was not raised Jewish, but there she is. And my mother, and who had no idea either. She's good at keeping secrets, this one. Well, yeah, at least a lot of stuff explained to me now. But you know, if you don't want to be Jewish in religion, you don't have to be. You can change your religion, but you know, if that's your heredity, you should be honest about that, especially with your family members. That's my brother, and that's me. And he over there, that's Johnny Dee, my dad. Right there. And his nickname, well, actually isn't Johnny Dee, it's Jack. Everybody called him Jack. His brothers and sisters and his family, and even my mom called him Jack. So if anyone calls him Jack, that means that you're an exclusive family member. I don't call him Jack, of course, I call him Dad. So yeah, it's my grandmother. I should show my grandfather too, since my grandfather was my favorite person. He raised me. My grandfather practically raised me. And this is something that's very Johnny Dee like. Johnny Dee loves telling family stories. He just loves doing it. He loves telling family stories over and over and over again. If you were to get a conversation with him, he would just start talking about stories from like 40, 50 years ago. I didn't even realize how much he loves telling stories until like I was kind of cut off from him. I didn't even realize like how much he loves talking about his life experiences and his family. Really loves doing that. Well, since I'm talking about grandparents here, I'll show my grandfather, who is Johnny Dee's father. Yeah. That's not my grandmother though, but I guess she would be my step-grandmother. My grandmother passed away from my dad's side, passed away before I was born. But yeah, that's me, that's my dad, and that's John Denardis Sr. So that's my grandfather, who was Italian, came from Italy. My grandmother was Polish. So, and we also got French from both sides. And it's kind of funny because my grandfather refused to acknowledge that he was Italian because he didn't want to be associated with the mob. So he kept telling everybody, I'm French, I'm French. Technically, Denardis is both a French and Italian name. It's both. The Denardises are from from France and Italy at the same time. They lived in both countries. So Denardus is like Denardo with a French accent. That's some interesting information there. Well, show me my baptism. No, I was not raised Jewish. It's proof. Here I am, baptized. I was baptized Catholic. I'm being baptized. Here. It's hard to do that with one hand. Here I'm in my walker. See me? I got my bottle. And there's another picture with my grandparents from my dad's side. That's Johnny Dee's dad. And my step-grandmother, who I didn't know my actual grandmother, actually, because she passed away before I was born. But like I said, there I am. This is my grandfather from my mom's side. But you can't see him too well. He's there. I remember this. I remember going to that petting zoo. Can you believe that? Look how small I was. Look how small I was. I remember this. I remember it vividly. Oh, I was so excited going to that petting zoo. Oh, it must have been 3. Like, how could I remember that? But yeah, I remember it. I remember it very well. I have to make sure and put these back so they don't fall out. They're original pictures. My mom was obsessed with pictures and photo albums. So yes, I don't want to like bombard people with that. So there's always different facets of what you do. Even if you're doing a really personal site, it could be about your songwriting ideas and your inspiration, your imagination. That's still very personal, but that's not Lori Dee. The Lori Dee is actually my who I was, I guess, who my father thinks I am. That's who Lori Dee is. If you just want to like have a too long didn't watch, well, unfortunately you can't like just get to the very end of this without actually watching it, so it doesn't matter. I have a picture of me, my teacher picture. This is me when I taught school. I don't know why I'm teaching now, but this is my teacher picture. I was 25. That's when I first started being able to write songs. That was when I was 25. So here I am, me now, and me when I was 25. So that's me. My ears are still pierced. I just don't wear earrings. But yeah, mostly I just put my hair in a bun. It's very thin. I think I was the thinnest I ever was. I wrote most of my songs when I was 26. When I was going to the poetry slam. I stayed in San Antonio. And then I came back to Chicago for a year after staying in 2 years. And then I went back and stayed in Texas. Most of my adult life I've lived in Texas. I just really felt like I belonged there. Let's see if there's any other interesting photos to show you. I do have a photo of my grandmother on my father's side. Here it is. It's a wedding picture. Isn't that pretty? There they are. My dad actually was telling a story about Polish weddings. They go all out. It don't matter how poor you were. And my great-grandmother was a seamstress, and my great-grandfather was a tailor. And you can definitely tell that. Aren't those beautifully tailored suits? And yeah. The funny story is that my grandmother's sisters were all afraid for her because my grandfather lived in Chicago, and he had a DeNardis last name, and they thought he was connected to the mob. And that's where he gets this, like, no, I'm French. No, I'm French. He refuses to admit to anybody that he's Italian. And this is when I graduated from college. Yeah, right here. I showed these pictures in my husband's videos too, but probably not as clearly. There I am. That's the year 2000. I'm with my mother and my father. I think my family members might like this channel much better than my other ones, because it is more about me. Now, what about these different facets of me? Well, like when you're creatively inspired, that's still you, but it's all devoted to that type of mission. Like Fairies Cavern, I managed that. That was all about me, but it's more like my higher self, who I am deep down. This is more about me on the surface, but still you see its facets of who I am deep down. I mean, I'm writing the songs and everything, and I'm creating these videos, but whom you are deep down isn't exactly whom you are. Does that make sense? Right? I guess it does. I hope it does. So I think that's all the pictures I'm going to show from this album of Who is Lori Dee. Oh, I'm going to show this one because it's cute. I love this Colorado vacation that we went on. My long-term memory is like so cute. I don't forget anything. I remember everything that's ever happened to me. I mean, I don't like think about it all the time, but yeah, I do remember it. I remember standing up on that rock. Where I am. That's Lori Dee. Lori Dee loves pink. So yeah, I'll have to like get pink outfits. Okay, I think that's it. I'll show this one. I remember this too, and I got stung by a bee. It was one of the most painful experiences of my life. I avoided bees ever since. And you think that, well, it's like, well, you're young, you don't know. It's like, it's never happened before. You've never got stung by a bee. And like, my mom was freaking out. And this was my first birthday. Here. I did not cut my hair. I did. This was back during a time where moms cut the hair. They always cut the hair. And since I brought it up, I gotta show you pictures of my brother. But, like, unless you're like 10 years old, boys didn't go get haircuts. Moms always cut the hair. Here's my brother with the mom haircut. I gotta show it to you. I'll show you the mom haircut. There we go. I really do think they just put a bowl on the head and cut around the bowl. But yeah, there we go. Sporting the mom haircut. And there's another one right on this page with the mom haircut. There we go, right there. Like you can't even recreate that. But every boy had the mom haircut. It wasn't just my brother. The moms didn't typically take in. I know they do today. They take in little boys to the barber, but no family. Even the rich families, they're not going to spend $10 on a haircut for a little boy. And there's me with a mom. She did a better job with my hair. What do you think? You think she did a better job with my hair? I hated that. I wanted longer hair. And I finally got my way. I grew my hair out long. Which didn't take long. I mean, you see that fashion, those clothes they dressed us in were very creative looking. And there was a rebellion, I think, in 3rd grade. Everyone saying, I'm not going to wear these outfits anymore. And we changed. You know, it's more like, we dressed more like Punky Brewster. But here we go. That's my brother. He's in the cul-de-sac playing. And my mom just put him out by himself. I think he's the same age as my son in this picture. You just let him go out and play by himself. There he is. Play by himself. She just... I don't know why she did that, but I would never do such a thing, but that's what they did back then. They're totally okay with that. Obviously, he wasn't out by himself at that time, but for the most part, we were outside by ourselves. Here's another one of him. It's my brother. He's smiling. He's got his he's on his bike. So yeah. All right, well that's Lori Dee. And that's what this is all about. Maybe I'll do some like edits of videos from back then as well. Okay, you have a great day. Or good morning. And I forgot I'm on my iPad. So I'm not gonna mess with my computer. Alrighty, bye-bye.